Alright, it's time to do UFC 158 predictions. This is screwed up. It will be a handlebar mustache in the near future. And the reason for that is I've bet with my brother. He has to grow a chin strap. I have to go handlebar mustache. He's the one who does it better. Gets 150 bucks. Anyways. Onwards to the predictions. Starting with the main event for a change because I have a rant. And I want to get it all in. 1. Nick Diaz's title shot is bullshit. He lost. Get over it. He shouldn't be getting a title shot. Moving on. Diaz fans, you're smoking what Nick Diaz is smoking if you think this is an easy fight for him. Because it's not. Let me give you a little history lesson here of Nick Diaz versus anyone that can wrestle. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Because it will rock your world because you apparently have forgotten this. Alright, Nick Diaz versus wrestlers. Let's see here. Where do we begin? Carl Parisian. Carl was able to take Nick Diaz down. He was able to be in his guard. Technically a judica, but you get my point. He was able to get in his guard. He was able to survive it and win. It's a close fight, don't get me wrong, but he won. Diego Sanchez, Joe Riggs, Sean Shirk. And people have been like, well, he's gotten better. And, you know, that counts for a lot. No. He's beaten an undersized wrestler in Hayata Sakurai. He has beaten an aging Frank Trigg. And he has beaten a really, I guess he's a wrestler, but it's Thomas Denny. You may remember Thomas Denny from the Bully Beatdown as one of the fighters who actually let the Bully walk away with a lot of cash. Anyways. Moving on to the actual fight. I have GSP by decision. I still don't see what people are seeing. Diaz is tough. Diaz has got great ground skills. He has got great stand-up skills. People are talking about GSP's glass chin. For one thing, I don't think it's glass chin. One knockout loss in, let's see. What is his official fight count? Alright, GSP has had 25 fights. He has been finished by strikes in one of those. Technically speaking, Nick Diaz has been finished the same number of times by strikes. Just throwing that out there. Yet we emphasize his toughness. So there you go. Actually, he's been finished by that more. He got stopped by Jeremy Jackson. He got stopped by KJ Nunes by cut. And I'm probably forgetting something there too. Yeah, I don't see it. I'm sorry, I don't. I see GSP being able to take him down. I see GSP being able to control him on the ground. I see GSP being able to do enough to win this fight. Will it be tremendously impressive? Not really. Will it be the most exciting fight in the world? It might be, if Diaz keeps it interesting from the bottom. But in the end, the Diaz brothers have the same faults, both of them. And it's the same as people who are going with Nate Diaz is going to beat Ben Henderson. You didn't learn your lesson off that fight? You really didn't? I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't get the love for him. I mean, is it because he's a stoner? You know, he's a fighter. I enjoy watching him fight. He's an exciting fighter. He's a top 10 fighter. Probably even top 5. He should have had to win a fight to get this style shot. And you guys are all over his freaking nutsack. I don't know why. Because he tells it like it is, man. No. He doesn't show up to press conferences he's supposed to show up for. He can't stay clean long enough to pass a piss test. He can't, you know, if he doesn't want to do that, he can't file his damn paperwork with states in time to get a medical exemption for marijuana. Yeah, no. He's delusional because he thinks he's won every fight he's ever had. The ones he got stopped in. So anyways, moving on. George Roop, Ruben Duran. George Roop, massive size advantage in terms of height, not necessarily in terms of bulk. Somewhat shoddy defense in all aspects. Wrestling defense, submission defense, striking defense. Pretty decent chin. Aside from the Korean Zombie fight. Or wait, I'm thinking of the wrong one, aren't I? Yeah, he knocked out Korean Zombie. Yeah, with the switch kick. What am I thinking of? It's the Mark Hominick fight. Yeah. Mark Hominick and Cub Swanson pretty much flatlined him. Which is kind of starting to ruin the respect for his chin. That being said, Duran didn't look very good against Hugo Viana last time out, but he didn't look good because of the speed differential. This is a fight where I think he'll have the speed advantage. Because I don't know what Roop's going to look like at 135. Oh my God, that's going to be skinny. In the end, I'm going with Duran to secure some kind of choke. Rube doesn't have the greatest takedown or a submission defense. Rube Duran has good chokes. I think he can get it to the ground. I think he'll be faster. I think he can also hurt Roop on the feet if necessary. Roop will have a redonkulous reach advantage, but historically hasn't used it to great effect. So unless he's picked up that skill, I don't really see it. TJ Dillashaw, Issei Tamura. Issei Tamura is a good fighter. I'm interested to see what he'll do, despite getting flatlined by Rafael Sancao. You know, that being said, Dillashaw's not a guy who's going to really knock you out with one punch sort of deal. That's not his game. He's going to come out there. He's going to take you down. He's going to try and get you back. He's going to try and finish you. And the fact that, a lot of mediocre grapplers have managed to take Dillashaw the distance. For example, YL Watson. Actually, that's it, actually. But he's actually only got 7 fights. I mean, I keep thinking, Dillashaw, he's alpha male, he's been around for a while, but no, he really had very few fights when he went on the Ultimate Fighter. But yeah, the fact that he couldn't finish YL Watson really makes me doubt that he can finish Issei Tamura. Dillashaw by decision. Rounding out the Facebook prelim card, Rick Story, Quinn Mulhern, 2 wrestlers meeting up. Rick Story historically wins these by being just a blanket. Do I really need to say more? I mean, case in point, we just saw his most recent victory, Brock Jardine, get finished with a very odd, submission by Kenny Robertson, who's not some submission whiz. And at the same time, Rick Story, despite having his back numerous times, dominant position numerous times, did not actually come close to finishing Brock Jardine. So, I mean, there's kind of your evidence. Story needs a win here. And I'm not going to fault him for fighting boring if that's the case, because dude is 1-3 in his last 4 fights. Granted, the losses are two of those losses are to top 10 guys in Demian Maia and Martin Kampmann. But there's also a loss to Charlie Brenneman, who doesn't have a job at this point in the UFC. It's weird. We were talking about Rick Story as a top 10 guy not that long ago. Anyways, on to the prelim card for a fight I'm very excited for. Darren Cruikshank, John McDessie. Going with McDessie. Why? I think that McDessie has a good enough chin to take Cruikshank late. And Cruikshank's cardio / ability to keep it, when things start going badly for him, has historically been questionable. He's a bit of a front runner in that sense. He's going to come out, he's going to look good for a round at least. Maybe even a second round. I think in the third, he's still going to start getting tired. He's going to start getting hit more. He's going to start shutting down. And McDessie will eventually finish him. John McDessie, 3rd round TKO. Dan Miller, Jordan Meehan. I really wanted to go with Jordan Meehan because I'm a big fan of what he does. I think there's a bright future for him. But in the end, I just think that his wrestling is probably not up to the level of stopping the takedowns of one Dan Miller. And if Dan Miller can get on top of you, Dan Miller will probably win, is generally how this works. He's a very good grappler in addition to being a very good wrestler. Meehan has shown good submission defense, good ability to, neutralize wrestlers in the past. The Tyron Woodley fight comes to mind immediately as a bit of an option on that. Even though he lost that fight, he did a very good job of nullifying Woodley, who's a better wrestler, not as finish-oriented as Dan Miller, but, still, I got to go with Miller by decision. Darren Elkins, Antonio Carvalho. Similar to the site here is that I really want to pick Antonio Carvalho. And people are going to say, it's because they're Canadian. No. They're Canadian fighters I hate. I just don't like Darren Elkins. Carvalho's a better striker. He's a better grappler. But in the end, Elkins is a very good wrestler who is pretty good at defending submissions, who is very determined, very aggressive, keeps pressure on you, very tough guy. I am impressed with his toughness. I just wish he would pick up, something beyond his wrestling. Is just it, really. I mean, beating Steven Seiler, Diego Brandao, Tiquan Zhang, and, of course, the highly controversial fight with Michihiro Omigawa during a 4-fight win streak at 145. He's big for the division. He's tough. And Carvalho has looked somewhat lackluster at times during his UFC run. Elkins' decision. Patrick Cote's 170 debut against Bobby Volker. Bobby Volker is a good fighter. That being said, Cote's never had that much of a problem with wrestlers, ironically. If you really look at it, people say, well, he's lost by submission a bunch of times, been taken down. You look at the guys who have taken him down, it's not by... excuse me. It's not by strictly wrestling them, except for Tom Lawler. Tom Lawler managed to do that. But Alan Belcher mixed in strikes and got the takedowns like that. Anderson Silva beat him. He did manage to repulse Ricardo Almeida's takedowns. Jason Days, not that that's all that impressive. Jason McDonald. You know, there are examples here where he's fought guys who don't really mix it up. And Bobby Volker is kind of one of those things. He doesn't have great stand-up. Yeah, he beat Roger Bowling twice using his hands for a bit. But in the end, he's going to get out there. He's going to try and take down Cote. And I think at this weight class, I think Cote is too big, too strong for that game plan to work. But, disclaimer here, it's going to really depend a lot on how Cote looks at the weigh-ins. If he comes out there looking, you know, like he's really drained and 170 is a bad idea, and basically James Irvin at 185, obviously this will go a different way. You know, he's got to have a good cut. But you got to think with the TriStar gym at his back, he's going to have that good cut. You got to think that. He's not that big. He's only 5'11". You know, he is a bit old maybe making this transition, but we'll see. We'll see. Moving on to the main card, Mike Ritchie, Colin Fletcher. Going Colin Fletcher by unanimous decision on what should be a pretty good fight, but I think Fletcher's just a little bit too tall, too big for Ritchie to deal with. Chris Camozzi, Nick Ring. People are thinking that this is going to be a close fight. I don't understand why. You remember that these guys were on the same season Ultimate Fighter, right? And Camozzi had that really, really great fight with Victor O'Donnell to get in the house. Let me refresh you how Victor O'Donnell's career has gone. Didn't get in the UFC, went to Bellator, got cut by Bellator. Nothing really to say beyond that. He's a tough guy. Nick Ring will not finish him. That being said, I just feel Nick Ring's a better grappler, a better striker, more technical. Camozzi's, you know, people are going to say Camozzi's just a bit of a brawler who's really tough, and he's not particularly fast, not particularly technical. And that's a problem. I got Nick Ring. Yeah, like I said, decision. Jake Ellenberger, Nate Marquardt. Depends on who brings their cardio. It really does. So I don't really see either guy finishing the other one in quick, dominating fashion. I'm going to go with Ellenberger because he's kind of shown the cardio more often, I would say, than Marquardt at 170. Marquardt's cardio looked good against Tyron Woodley at 170, but he knew what Tyron Woodley was going to do. I think that may have made it a little bit more easier. But against Tarek Safadine, and yeah, people will say it was the leg kicks, and I'm sure it was. I mean, look at his leg at the end of that. But he also looked very tired at the same time. So I got Ellenberger winning a decision here on what should be a fight to watch for, because this has some title contender implications, as does the next fight, Carlos Condit, Johnny Hendricks. The guy who should be getting the title shot, Johnny Hendricks. And people say, he lost to Koscheck. You know what? On paper, he beat Koscheck. And ignoring that, he's also flatlined Martin Kampmann. He's flatlined John Fitch. He's beaten Mike Pierce. Again, a somewhat controversial fight. He beat TJ Wahlberger. It's more than your guy you're actually giving the title shot to has done. Anyways, Condit, submission, second round. That's my prediction. I think Condit's just too wily on the ground. We've seen Hendricks sort of struggle with that a little bit. And Condit will probably capitalize. It's just a guy that you don't want to try and lay in prey. I mean, the way to beat Condit is you gotta... Not sure. I mean, GSP made it look so easy that, you know, we're like, no, it's simple. But in reality, it's just very difficult. He's very good off his back. He's very good on the feet. He's, you know, probably not going to get caught with an overhand right hand to the face like Johnny Hendricks has done to other people. But, you know, we'll see. It's a good night of fights. I mean, like that whole main card. I mean, they're going to be good fights with the exception of perhaps Ring and Camozzi, which will be a good fight. It'll just be, I don't want to even say one-sided because I think it'll be competitive, but I think you'll never doubt who's winning. Whereas I think Ritchie Fletcher, that could be a very interesting fight. Marquardt Ellenberger, that could be very interesting. Hendricks Condit, that could be very interesting. GSP Diaz, I don't think it will be, but people think that Diaz is going to squash him, so there you go. The undercard's pretty good, and, you know, aside from Story versus Mulhern, I'm actually kind of looking forward to the Facebook card. So, you know, good matchmaking. We'll see you after the fight if I got something to say, and possibly for Bellator. So I'm looking at the next Bellator card, and I don't even think I'm going to do a prediction video. It just looks that's not so good. And I do hold Bellator to a standard that they have not met with the next card.